Okay, today I'm hoping to steam this little SE1 from 1946. This particular engine is an extremely rare variation of the SE1 in as much as it has a sort of a Bowman style base mounted chimney. These little engines were made right after the Second World War. Literally a few, they were only made in 1946, the first few months after Malin's engineers set up after the, or restarted after the Second World War. And it has this base mounted chimney, as you can see there, which is basically identical to the pre-war version. The pre-war version never had an exhaust chimney. Apart from that, the engine is identical. Apart from also the engine frame has got the Mamod logo embossed on it. And this was made along with an SE2 version which had a base mounted chimney. Again, that's a very rare variation of the engines, and they are, in my experience, pretty damn hard to get hold of. I was speaking to Steve Malins at Steam Toys in Action this year, and he sort of picked up on it and said, yeah, they were very, very rare. They were not made for a while, only made for a short period in 1946 before the engine received a slightly larger boiler and it reverted to the normal sort of standard Mamod locomotive type chimney, i.e. mounted on the boiler. Now this particular engine is in completely original condition. The base plate, as you can see, hasn't been painted at all. It has got some red paint still left on it. Curiously, this particular base plate also has the Mamod trademark at the time stamped into the metal. Now I was talking to Rowley Williams at Steam Toys in Action this year and looked at his rather nice SE4, and it struck me that one had a stamped base plate as well. So I just threw in the theory that possibly these base plates were stamped Mamod so that they could distinguish them between, say, base plates that were going to be intended to use for the hobbies range, which obviously Geoffrey Malin's made up until the beginning of the Second World War. It's just an idea, but it's curious why it's actually on there. Even Steve Malin said he could just make it out. He didn't realise they'd actually stamped the base plates as well. So I've just assumed possibly it could be a way of identifying hobbies base plates from the Mamod ones, because obviously they're very much identical, apart from the fact that the paint job was a little bit different. Well, on saying that, I have an SE4 with a dark hobbies red base plate with a Mamod logo on it, so I think the whole lot of it was just a case of, as it's always been, get it made, get it out the door, and get the money in the bank. Now this particular little engine, tiny thing that it is connected to some post-war tools which have the very sought after brass wheels on them, brass flywheels. It's also got a flat base line shaft with its brass flywheel on it as well. And this particular one, you can see it's got the post-war blue oval deco with the sort of sans serif typeface as opposed to the more scripty version that was used before the war. All the tools have cast iron pedestals and bodies, and the whole lot is held together with my normal Meccano chassis to keep everything in position. Now I haven't steamed this engine connected to this little setup, which I'm hoping to do today, so I'm hoping that this little disc crank has got enough oomph in it to give the engine some turning power to move over this simple little workshop. I'm going to make sure everything's well oiled. The particular SE1 itself is a curious, very, very small boiler. It's got the smallest type of safety valve on it as opposed to the bigger 3/8 inch ones which came along later. It has no overflow plug on it, and let's say it has the exhaust chimney. You can see that just coming out there, and the normal sort of features you'd expect at the time, the hot brass stamped engine frame, as well as a sort of barrel type piston or cylinder, and the normal silver disc crank. Obviously later ones had red disc cranks, but they were the normal local boiler mounted chimney type, and obviously they had overflow plugs, some of them then. Now this one's running on a simple little 2-wick burner, and I'm hoping that the particular engine will have enough power to turn this simple setup over. The tools themselves, and so you can see the beautiful brass wheels on these. They've got quite substantial cast iron bodies on these. They're quite heavy. If you pick up, say, a 1970s hammer or press, you'll notice the difference in the weight. They get good prices. I mean, these 3 tools all came from the same seller, and they were just shy of £100, including all the combined postage, which really is not too bad, considering that the tools themselves really do fetch sometimes premium prices. So there you have it, a lovely little engine. Not many were made, devilishly hard to get hold of, I found, and this one I think cost me around about the £140 mark, and sort of combined with the tools and that, there's about 250 quid of kit in that now. But I'd say it's one I've wanted for the collection for a long time, and I'm hoping to say that the little fella's going to do the business. It's all, say, held together with the normal Meccano chassis that I use, nice and rigid. I'm hoping also that these aren't too tight, these bands, the steel bands. I prefer to use these. I think they look more in keeping with the period as opposed to the rubber type. And simple little ton dish filler, we'll be using that one, and we'll see, say, if it will actually turn it. So there you have it, a 1946 Mamod SE1 base mounted chimney, a very, very sought after variation, especially with this little setup connected to it. And if you've got one of these, as well as one with a base mounted chimney on an SE2, you know, you're sitting on 2 nice earners, really, because they'll go well in excess of £100. The SE2 probably go up even more, because that one obviously had a counter shaft on it as well as the larger boiler. So I'm just going to prepare this one now, so in the next video hopefully we'll see this one turning this lovely little setup.